The Jackie Gleason Show. And away we go!
Thank you. How sweet it is. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start the show, how about a nice hand for Sammy Spear and his alleged orchestra? Sam, I want to tell you, you really got it tonight. That outfit you're wearing, is that a maroon jacket? Yes, it is. It looks nice. One of the cuffs are climbing up your shoulder there. Very nice. Sam is very happy tonight. He has been distinguished by a very fine offer. Next week, he is going to be the guest conductor on the Long Island Railroad. And I want to tell you, you don't have this happen to you often. You folks out there in television land, we're having a cold wave here in New York. Cold wave. I walked out in the lobby just before the show began. An usher was arguing with one of the people coming in. He says, you can't get in here with those blue tickets. He says, what blue tickets? They're my fingers. I would like to thank you people for, I know you had to stand outside quite some time because they have to get the stage cleared and everything before they let the audience in. I know how cold it is outside, but the audience is certainly hot, and I appreciate it. And away we go. During the holidays, men in prison find that loneliness is a problem. Most convicts yearn to celebrate the holiday season. The American Scene magazine recently captured this picture at a state prison.
You know, you can be replaced by a jukebox, you know that. Sammy, and there's non-recording orchestra. You wonder why you find musicians cut up in trunks? Sally, was that a girl? Was that a girl? That's what people kept asking. Every girl has a right to be ugly, but she abused the privilege. She had bags over her eyes. She will never live to be as old as she looked. 4 drunks looked at her, they took the pledge. The old story, she wanted furs, diamonds, halva. Sometimes I wish you were back again to see all this. Sally, come back, you fool, you! Da-da-da-da-da-da! You fool, you! She's a little deaf. She couldn't afford a hearing aid, so we bought a 3-cent piece of wire, put it over her ear, and everybody spoke loud. Sally, Rilivio, Sally. Keep playing. Sally, don't you remember our school days? You were bow-legged, I was knock-kneed. When we stood together, we spelled the word ox. Sally, you were so bow-legged when you sat around the house. You sat around the house. When you smiled, you had a beautiful set of teeth. You went to the dentist, he said your teeth are all right, your gums have to come out. Sally. It gets foggy out. Sally. Your cute little nose, the way it turned up. Then down, then sideways. Lovely way your hair grew halfway down your back. Too bad it didn't grow in your head. Your left eye was so fascinating, your right eye kept looking at her all the time. You were my girl. I used to take you riding in my car. You insisted I take the top down. It took me 3 hours. It wasn't a convertible. And Uncle Sam called me. I flew my own plane for 2 years. Then a rubber band broke. I forgot to thank Jackie Gleason, ladies and gentlemen, for... I needed some seats for the ball clubs, you know, and keep playing. It's a good time to practice. When you're down and out, lift up your head and shout, help! I left my heart in San Mateo. Couldn't get a room in Frisco.
Friends, spring training has started for most of the baseball clubs throughout the nation. The American Scene magazine now takes you to California, where the Los Angeles Angels are going through their spring training. Despite enormous precautions, many burglaries are still taking place in exclusive sections of our cities. The American Scene magazine secretly planted cameras in the room of a palatial home in New York City where a robbery is about to take place. Left the window open. Missed. Should have put in 3. Huh? Nothing. Just hanging around. Reading my favorite column, Dear Miss Fairfax. Get a load of this, Donahue. Dear Miss Fairfax, I'm 8 years old. My mother is always saying, let your conscience be your guide. What is a conscience? Signed, Curious Kid. And it says, Dear Curious Kid, a conscience is that quiet, small voice that makes you tell your mother what you did wrong before your little sister squeals on you. In the back, I'll call him out. Hey, Clay!
Hiya, Joe. Hello, Mr. Danny. It's amazing, Joe, how nowadays the agriculture colleges have raised the level of our fruits and vegetables. Because today our fruits and vegetables have reached a peak in their sugar, iron, proteins, and magnesium, and red corpuscles. That's a fact.
Wait a minute! How do you know so much about agriculture?
Are you kidding, Joe? I'm a student of agriculture. I read all about agriculture in my little boy Chrissy's coloring book. There's a terrific story in here all about agriculture. It's all about Jack and the Beanstalk. Terrific. It's the story of a poor little boy named Jack and a mean old giant. Poor little Jack lived in a poor little house with his poor little mother, and they had a poor little cow. That cow didn't have a dime. Jack also had a pet skunk. The skunk was poorer than the cow. The skunk didn't even have a cent. One morning, Jack said to his mother, even though Jack was a nice boy, you know, he was a nice boy, Joe, even though he had buck teeth. He had buck teeth. He got up one morning and he said, Mother, why do I have buck teeth? She says, the only thing we could afford was a buck. He said, it's time for you to get up now, Jack, dear, and have your breakfast. Remember, the early bird gets the worm. He says, holy gosh, if we're that poor, I might as well skip breakfast. His mother was worried about the money. They didn't have any cow feed, and Jack was feeding the cow sawdust. And all the customers were complaining about picking splinters out of the milk. And his mother decided to sell the cow. So she says to Jack, now mind you, when you go into the town, mind you, Jack, dear, don't get behind her, because she's a mean old cow and she might kick you in the head. And you know how much you can get for a cow with a busted foot. She's kind to dumb animals, Joe. Little Jack's walking along the road, walking along with Gleason. All of a sudden he meets up with a stranger, and he says, say, stranger, you look like a stranger to me. And the stranger says, strangely enough, I am a stranger. My name is John L.C. Stranger. Jack says, I'm happy to be meeting up with you, stranger. I'm Jack in the Beanstalk. I'm a cow salesman. And the stranger says, I'll give you $500 for that cow, Sonny. And Jack says, you're pretty stupid for a stranger. $500 for that cow? You think my mother raised nutty kids? The stranger says, well, I'll swap this bag of beans for the cow. And Jack says, now you're talking, stranger. So the stranger gave Jack the beans and hopped on the cow and rode off in all directions. And Jack runs home to his mother, and he yells, Mother, Mother, I got great news. I swapped the cow for this bag of beans. What do you think about that? She says, I think you're some sort of a nut. Okay.
Be sure to watch the Arthritis Telethon Sunday afternoon at 1. This will be followed by the Road to L.A. at 8. Hang on for the heat of the Fleet Feet as they bound out with the bell during harness racing from Yonkers. Next on WOR-TV.
The sun and fun capital of the world, it's the Jackie Gleason Show. And away we go! How sweet it is! Well, here we go. Oops, there he is, our orchestra leader, Sammy Spears. The applause that I received at the opening of the show is really far beyond my expectations and really splendid. But whether you believe this or not, I don't appreciate applause too much, and I'll tell you why. And this is a strange story. Long ago, when I was working in Newark, I was working in a little joint called the Miami Club. That's the truth. That's what it was named. Strangely enough, I just thought of it now. Strangely enough, here I am in Miami. This was really a play. It was really a bucket of blood. There was a fist fight every 4 minutes. But there was another guy working in town. I won't mention his name. He was working in even a worse place than I was working in. A real broken down joint, and I went to see him one night. And when I walked in, he was doing his act. And he was smiling and doing it, and nobody was applauding. Not only weren't they applauding, but they were booing him. But the more they booed, the more he'd smile, and the harder he tried. And they kept booing him. So when his show was over, I went into his dressing room, and I said, listen, pal, I said, I don't understand it. I said, you were out there, not one person applauded. But you kept doing your act, you tried harder, you smiled and everything, and they were booing you, worse than I've ever heard anybody booed. He says, well, let me tell you something, Jack. He says, you know, applause doesn't really mean much, because people applaud for you because, well, they want to be kind. He says, but when they take the time to boo, they really mean it. He said, he said, and when I hear them boo, I'm grateful to that audience because they're telling me something. He says, they're telling me I need new jokes, new bits of business. He says, so far from being discouraged by their booing, I'm encouraged by it. I consider it constructive criticism when they boo me. And believe it or not, I learned a great lesson from this poor, broken down comedian. And believe me when I tell you that while applause pumps up my ego and I love it and everything, it's really the boos that I love. Not that kind, this kind.
Story of the week. The Holly Prize from Kiss Trophy was awarded to the New York Mets for the best outfielders in the league.
I think I have just the trick for you, sir. Bring on the guillotine. Ladies and gentlemen, a relic of ancient China, recently brought back by a Brooklyn missionary and has since been known as the old China Clipper. Now, the blade weighs approximately 22.5 pounds. Mr. Babbitt, sir, I'd like to have you examine the blade. Thank you very much. Now, to give you a brief idea of this operation, ladies and gentlemen, we have here a head of a carriage. We place the blade in such a position make the gag. For this particular experiment, ladies and gentlemen, we need someone with a rather large neck. Someone with a rather large neck. What size collar you wear?
Finest gentleman in them.
Just the size I'm looking for, sir. Would you mind just come over, if you don't mind, sir? Oh, prayer rock, I'll just drop it right here. Yes, sir. Just kneel down if you don't mind, sir. Now, over here, sir, if you notice, we have a couple of hinges. Can you see them, sir? Just, no, I think it's maybe it'll be easier this way. get the idea, sir. We'll just... Just try it once more, sir, if you don't mind, please, just for size. Now, you notice over here we have two hinges, you know.
I don't think I want to do this.
Now, Mr. Babbitt, sir, please don't be frightened. We just had the blade sterilized. And incidentally, we're taking unusual precautions tonight because of the accident that we had last night.
What accident? Simple question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Babbitt.
What's that there for?
Well, Mr. Babbitt, sir, that's in case something goes wrong. Don't worry, sir. Everything will be quite all right, sir. May I... Oh. May I call your particular attention to the carrots we placed under Mr. Babbitt's chin? We do a rather remarkable thing. The blade will pass through the carrots undamaged, and we cut Mr. Babbitt's neck.
Oh, my God.
Carrots.
Yes, tell him again about that.
Let's see, I know we cut one, Mr. Babbitt, so don't worry, Mr. Babbitt. Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, this becomes a bit gruesome at times, so anyone here with a weak heart like to leave for a moment or two, would you please put up your right hand?
Could I leave, please?
Oh, sir, we need you, Mr. Babbitt. We need you, sir. Oh, I want the folks in the first row, could you move back a little? Because sometimes the head rolls. Don't you worry, sir, and we won't miss the basket. Now, just there, just steady there. There we are. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Gentlemen, and welcome to Hidden Camera. Tonight, we have our cameras set up here in the lecture hall of Glom University, where that eminent professor of English literature, Dr. Galbraith Perchcone, is about to read some poetry to the student body. Now, due to the limited capacity of the lecture hall and the size of the student body, it's necessary for Dr. Perchcone to have 4 separate classes and read the poetry to each class. Now, we have learned that it is the habit of Dr. Perchcone to take a drink of water before each lecture. So here's what we're going to do, boys. We're going to put an alcoholic beverage in the water cooler so that every time Dr. Perchcone takes a drink of what he thinks is water, it'll actually be liquor. Now, to add fun and confuse Dr. Perchcone even more, we're going to move the water cooler after each lecture. Now, Dr. Perchcone is due any... Oh, there's the bell. The class is ready to start.
Hello, class. Students, today I'm going to read
you one of the greatest poems in English literature. It is entitled, How Doth the Little Busy Bee? By Isaac Watts. How doth the little busy bee improve each shining hour and gather honey all the day from every opening flower? How skillfully she builds her cell, how neat she spreads the wax, and labors hard to store it well with the sweet food that she makes. In works of labor or of skill, I would be busy too, for Satan finds some mischief still for idle hands to do. In books, or work, or healthful play, let my first years be past, that I may give for every day some good account at last. And that, children, is the poem for the day. There once was a butcher named Hutton, whose wife was a glutton for mutton. He snuck up behind her, shoved her into the grinding. No Hutton, no mutton, no nothing.
Dr. Perchcone, have you ever seen our program called Hidden Camera? Well, you're on it, and you know what we did?
What?
We put some alcoholic beverage in your water cooler. Now, what do you think of that?
Psychologists say that friendship entails responsibility, a willingness to adjust and work out mutual problems. Here are two people whose problems present no barrier to their lifelong friendship.
da-da-da. Toodalooty-dooty-doo. Down. Huh? Oh, sure. Just a little tough to get out. Nothing, just hanging around. Hey, you gotta hear this. I was reading this Dear Miss Fairfax column. Get a load of this. I had a very bad, it says, Dear Miss Fairfax, I had a very bad sore throat. I went to a doctor, and after a 1-minute examination, all he did was paint my throat, and he charged me $10. What should I do? Signed, Hypochondriac. And she says, Dear Hypochondriac, what did you expect, wallpaper? Oh, he's in the back. I'll call him out. Hey, Craig!
Hey, Joe. Oh, Mr. James. Hey, Joe, why can't a giraffe ride a bicycle?
I give up. Why can't a giraffe ride a bicycle?
He hasn't got a thumb to ring the bell. Hey, Joe, you'll never guess whose house I went over to last night. Take a guess. Go ahead. Just take a guess.
Harry Glide.
No.
Joe Flan.
No.
Willie Pierce.
No.
All right,
Who's doing? I went over there. We're sitting there watching television. We saw a terrific movie, Mutiny on the Bounty. It was an old movie, but it was terrific. It was all about this ship. It was called the HMS Bounty. HMS, that stands for Harry S. Truman. The captain of the ship was Captain Bligh, and the first officer was Mr. Christian. And Captain Bligh said, I'm warning you, Mr. Christian, I'm tough. I'm so tough that I can tie a horseshoe into a knot while the horse is still wearing it. Mr. Christian said, oh, yeah? That's nothing. With my bare hands, I can tear up a telephone number in half. And I bet he could too, Joe. The cruise starts.
Just a minute. Tear a what in half?
The telephone number, right in half. The cruise starts out from Liverpool, England. And Captain Bligh has been hollering at Mr. Christian all day. He's yelling, Mr. Christian, come down here. Mr. Christian, come down, I say. And Mr. Christian comes down from the crow's nest. You know that up on top of the, he's up way up on top of the, you know, the thing that holds up all the curtains. And he comes all the way down. And Captain Bligh says, I've called you 15 times. Why haven't you answered me? Mr. Christian says, I was in the shower. I didn't hear the phone.
See you next week.
Okay, Joe.
See you next week, Mr. Nine.
There's more baseball action with the Mets and the Los Angeles Dodgers on Sunday afternoon at 1:30. Those amazing animals will return again Sunday at 5. The fun and excitement of harness racing from Yonkers is back next on WO.